The Central Asian Report is a program about the ongoing geopolitical trends and the panorama of the present-day realities in Central Asia.
Politics, economics and culture, events, trends and people. All this on one territory. Hello, you're watching the Central Asian Report in today's program. Forewarned means forearmed, the forecast of seismologists from Central Asia. The grape industry, the prospects of grape exports for Tajikistan's economy. Kyrgyzstan, welcome to the country of heavenly mountains. And coming right up, headlines from Central Asia. Turkmenistan has completed the construction of the railway branch Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Tajikistan. 88 kilometers of the railway line are ready for use. Along this line, construction of 2 railway bridges and stations is underway. The next stage of the realization of this project is work along the branch in Afghanistan that is 38 kilometers in length. It is expected that once the construction of this new railway branch is completed, it will become an important link in the international transport of cargo between the countries of Asia. In Tashkent, a polytechnic museum opened its doors, the very first in Central Asia. Its exhibition is divided into 3 parts: world history of car manufacturing, the history of Uzbekistan's car industry, and interactive practicum. The unique exhibits of the museum include models of automobiles from the beginning of last century, rare agricultural equipment, as well as a kinetic sculpture, an installation made of metallic spheres, suspended in the air, and which can be arranged into various shapes. Seismic pressure is building up in Central Asia. Despite the regular low-intensity earthquake shocks, the threat of a destructive earthquake in the region is very high. According to long-term observations of scientists, right now is actually the time for an earthquake. Our correspondent brings us the report from the Central Asian Forum on whether it is possible to prevent a large-scale cataclysm by sticking together. On average, an earthquake lasts for around 20 seconds, but in this short period of time, the economies of entire countries can collapse and the lives of thousands of people come to a standstill. According to statistics, annually more than 10,000 people die because of earthquakes.
We at the bank, we are finishing a report for the Central Asia risk assessment for earthquakes and floods. And we found the preliminary results of this study have shown that in average, the region, there is an exposure of losses on average on 47% of GDP. And you need to put this in context. In the last years, the countries in Central Asia have been growing economically, in average around 8.7%. And comparing with one disaster that can basically destroy 40% of your economy is very big.
And not only for Central Asian countries. In 1999, a destructive earthquake with a magnitude of 7.5 points on a Richter scale shook Turkey. The disaster took the lives of 18,000 people and had a substantial impact on the country's economy. In order to prevent the occurrence of a similar tragedy, from 2000 to 2005, Turkey's scientists took measures to prepare for future natural disasters, which are unfortunately unavoidable. This can help minimize the loss of lives and recover the economy faster.
We have 3 subcomponents. The first subcomponent is the strengthening of the institutional capacity of our disaster management system. The second one is the strengthening, retrofitting or reconstruction of the public buildings, especially schools and hospitals, and also some activities for cultural heritage buildings. And the last one is the building code enforcement.
The consequences of the Izmit earthquake in Turkey are still being dealt with. In the last 16 years, more than 1,230 architectural objects were reconstructed or rebuilt in Istanbul. Thanks to this, 1.5 million school students study in buildings that can withstand an earthquake with a magnitude of 9 points.
forecasting of earthquakes, or it's a probability of the earthquake. And for example, we are waiting in the next 30 years with a 65% probability for Istanbul, for example. Scientists cannot say this day or that time we forecast there is a big earthquake. Only it's a probability work, they can easily say.
Scientists from Kazakhstan are also expecting in the upcoming years a big earthquake which occurs in this region every 100 years. The thing is that earthquakes only occur when a large amount of tectonic energy builds up. In order to relieve the pressure in the geological environment, Kazakhstani scientists are proposing to use an ingenious mechanism.
Создать искусственные сейсмические толчки в эпицентре около 6 баллов, которые дают.
It is necessary to create artificial seismic shocks in the epicenter of around 6 points, the intensity of which would reach the city of Almaty. It will be around 60 to 80 kilometers away from the city with a magnitude of 1 point. The city's residents will not even feel it. Thus, this method will lessen the tension of built-up energy in the Earth's cores.
Вот это метод будет приводить в разрядку энергии, накопленной в недрах.
There is a simpler method for minimizing the consequences of destructive earthquakes, which can be applied in many cities of Central Asia. More water reservoirs and artificial lakes should be built around large cities. Water absorbs energy, and therefore seismic shocks will have a lower intensity. The truth is in the grapes. This was decided by Tajikistan's government, and now the wine-growing sector is being actively developed in the country. A share of the grown fruit is sent for export, and a share is for the development of local winemaking. Our correspondent Dushanbe brings us the report on the current state and long-term perspectives of the sector. The Tursun-Zoda district. Only a couple of kilometers from here is the border with Uzbekistan. Here there are ideal conditions for the cultivation of grapes. That is why sorts of grapes known as ladyfingers, bullseye, and kishmish can be found in every garden. On average, we collect 60 tons of grapes from 2.5 hectares. All this depends on the weather. The more sunny days there are, the better the harvest. Grapes like sun, and we have a lot of that. Last year, almost 190,000 tons of grapes were collected. This is a third higher than the average harvest levels of the recent years. Grapes are a traditional export product for Tajikistan's economy. Due to logistical collisions and limited consumption life, mainly it is sold to neighboring countries. What's more, on different markets there is a demand for different varieties of grapes. For example, in Afghanistan, white grapes enjoy greater demand, and in Russia, black grapes. The export route of Tajikistan's grapes starts here. Transport takes 10 days. In order for the fruit not to get spoiled, it is packed into boxes. Traditional importers are Kyrgyzstan, Afghanistan, Kazakhstan, and the largest buyer, Russia. In addition, this year, Tajikistan's exporters, for the first time, entered China's market. August, September, and October. These are the toughest months. Particularly during this period, there's a large volume of exports, 40 tons daily. And for us, the quality of the product that reaches the consumer is important. According to the data for beginning of November, Tajikistan exported more than 8,000 tons of berries and fruits. This is 25% more than the same period of last year. Part of the collected harvest, which is not export, goes back to the local winemaking plant. During the Soviet times, Tajikistan's dessert wines were in great demand. They were shipped to even the most remote corners of the Union. Right now, the plant is slowly achieving good production volumes. More than 300,000 decaliters of wine are stored here. For now, this wine will be sold only on the domestic market. The cisterns should be made of aluminum for the better preservation of the wine. These are mostly dry wines stored in them without alcohol. 2 to 3 times a week we check on them. To get the plant back to its previous production levels is half the task. The main goal is to create new sorts of wine and enter international markets. Ambitious plans can fully become a reality. Next year, a state program will start functioning in the country on the development of horticulture and vine growing. According to the plan of the project, by 2020, gardens and vineyards will cover an additional territory of 20,000 hectares. People in Kyrgyzstan are getting their skis ready. In a week, there will be the launch of yet another skiing season. On this occasion, not only ski slopes, but also a unique touristic slogan were prepared. Right now, Kyrgyzstan can officially be called a country of heavenly mountains. My colleague from Bishkek brings the story about the new slogan and the need for a countrywide PR campaign in the modern world.
Смотрите сюжет моего коллеги из Бишкека.
Kyrgyzstan has adopted its new country slogan back in the middle of October. It was given by the country's Prime Minister, Timur Sariyev. According to the Prime Minister, this self-definition is important, first and foremost, for the tourism sector of Kyrgyzstan. In the first 9 months of this year, around 1.1 million tourists visited the country, but potentially it could be much more. With this hope, until 2017, the authorities intend to spend more than 50 million soms, or around $700,000, for the development of the tourism sector.
Мы можем просто при минимальных вложениях.
With minimal investments, we can already offer tourism services for which there is already a demand. We just need to take on this task, build roads, motels. What's more, the main share of tourists who come here do not need 5-star hotels. They're ready to live in guest houses, enjoy the exotic culture, horses and yurts.
Экзотика, лошади, там юрты.
Roads and motels. Experts are confident that all this is important, but what the country with a high tourism potential needs more is a brand or a slogan. Foreign guests need to be able to create a stable association with the country, following the example of China or Japan, the country of the rising sun. Because of the suffix "stan," for a long time foreigners mixed the name of the country with Kyrgyzstan or Afghanistan. And for understandable reasons, this did not promote the flow of tourists. The situation slowly began to change only in the recent years.
В общем-то, стали знать, Кыргызстан, one part СССР.
People now are starting to know about Kyrgyzstan as former part of the USSR, next to Kazakhstan and China. Therefore, people more or less know, but you can see that we do not have a high flow of tourists. If we compare it with Nepal, which also relies on its mountains, then we are behind.
Вот. У нас пока еще, конечно, мы уступаем.
By the way, the tourism slogan of Nepal can be translated as "one visit is not enough." The country's authorities spend about $40 million annually on the self-publicity, and it works. The alpinist Dmitry Grekov has also been numerous times to Nepal. In 1997, he even conquered the Everest mountain. But he considers Kyrgyzstan's slogan, the country of heavenly mountains, more successful than the slogan of Nepal. The athlete is confident that the landscape is everything for the country. 3 of the 5 7,000-meter peaks that need to be conquered in order to receive the unofficial title of alpinist, the snow leopard, are located in the country.
Есть бренд 7 вершин.
There is the brand of 7 peaks that are located across all continents, in Asia, America, Africa, and so on. It is also very popular, and the snow leopard title is on par with this. And in the West it is very popular, and many travel to conquer these 7,000-meter peaks.
На Западе очень известен, и многие едут именно за этими семитысячниками к нам.
For now, tourism in Kyrgyzstan is mainly connected with the vacation on the Sikur Lake. That is why, according to specialists, the promotion of a new tourism brand may take years. What's more, the slogan needs to be supported by a corresponding logo. Edilbek Sadegaliyev teaches painting and drawing at the National Academy of Arts. He admits that it is not easy to capture the Alato range. There is a reason that their name translates as colorful mountains. It is important to capture the complex play of colors.
Например, если вот здесь стояла бы картина Грузии, горы Грузии.
For example, if there was a painting of the mountains of Georgia or Caucasus, and next to it a painting of our mountains, then I would be able to immediately identify that these are our mountains and our trees.
Я сразу могу определить, хоть часть, деталь, я могу определить, что это наши камни, наши горы, наши дети.
Kyrgyzstan is not alone in its ambitions for self-identification. A couple of months ago, Kazakhstan got its own country slogan. Now it is the country of the great steppes. Time will show if these slogans become well recognized across the world.
На этом все.
You're watching the Central Asian Report. Until next time on Kazakh TV.
Kazakh TV.